thank you for tuning in to Peter's Corner. My name is Peter Lanzillo, and thank you for watching The Fundamentals to Connecting to Your Loved One Living with Dementia. We are on the fourth show right now, and in the past, we've spoken about fear. We've also spoken about the holidays. Today's show is going to be interesting because we're going to be talking about hope. Hope for the ones suffering with dementia, and also hope for the loved ones that are the caregivers. And it's my privilege to bring to you Chrissy Wordman and Laura Lavoie, and they're going to be bringing to us the subject of hope. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, so we did want to talk about hope today, and we wanted to talk to, yes, both the caregivers and the people living a well life with dementia. Hope is a funny term, isn't it, when you have a diagnosis like this, and it's something that might sometimes be hard to find. And when I was thinking about this subject that we were going to talk about with you today, right away that came to mind was one of my favorite poems by Emily Dickinson. Many of you may know it. It is "Hope is the Thing with Feathers." So I just thought I would start out by reading that to you, and then I sort of looked at it in a different way too. So I'm going to read it first, and then we can talk about it a little bit. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. And so when you think of it just for yourself, it gives me great peace, and I love the poem, and I love the vision of this bird. And it's almost like the bird is living within our souls. And so when you take it piece by piece and we look at it as a dementia sort of hope, when it says hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul, and it sings a tune without the words and never stops at all, it brings me to the thought of the right brain. The right temporal lobe is, and I'm mirroring, so for me it's over here, the right temporal lobe, which is where we keep the rhythm, where we keep prayer, where we keep poetry, where we keep song. And that is a gift that is given to many people with dementia for a very, very long time. And so sometimes that's the way of connecting with your person that you're caring for or living with who has dementia. Or if you have dementia, sometimes that can be the thing that can help bring some joy to you, those moments of joy we talked about last time. So even when the words go, but the words will stay for a very long time, you have the music. So that number one, I was really looking at with the hope. You have hope of the connection of music and prayer and poetry. The next one talks about the sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird and kept so many warm. It's talking about hope really can be something we hang on to. So in the darkest of times, when things seem really bad and really hard, if you can hold on to hope, sometimes that can be the thing that gets us through the hardest. So remembering that there's hope, and we're going to talk more about that. Chrissy's going to talk about some specifics, but remembering that if we can hold on to it, it can get us through so many things. And then I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Hope costs nothing, and it's something we can hold on to without even knowing it, because we don't have to give it its time or its due. It's just going to be there for us. So you can be in the midst of everything else and you can turn to it and it will be there for you. It will never leave your side if you look for it. So that was what I wanted to open with. And so if you get a copy of that poem and put it somewhere for yourself, it might be one of those things that you can go to and be maybe a touchstone or something that can give you that hope when you're feeling a little bit having a bad day or a down day, or something has happened that's made you wonder if you have any of that. So Chrissy, I'm going to turn it to you now. You can talk more about
Yeah, that poem is beautiful, so powerful.
Yeah.
But you're right. Hope is like a little compass inside our heart. It keeps us going. It's that warm glow, right?
Yeah.
Um, when I think about hope, I think about, first of all, how it's defined. Like, what does your hope look like in the here and now? And if I'm defining my hope of being a caregiver, family, friend, um, family member, what how is that defined given my role? And then most importantly, what is your loved one's definition of hope? The loved one who is living with memory loss. There could be two different definitions. And it's important to be in sync if we are to walk side by side with your loved one on this journey, to be realistic about our hope, so we can change as our loved one changes, right? Because change is inevitable on this journey. Memory loss progresses, therefore, change is inevitable, right? But the one thing that just keeps us connected is that hope and being realistic about that hope so that we can be together and be able to enjoy, right? Enjoy our day, enjoy our times, our time, our moment together. And I just think, from my perspective of being a caregiver, but hearing many, many stories of caregivers that you know that I've come across, or families that I've served, that hope changes day to day. It could change week to week too, month to month. Um, and in the beginning, when I look at my experience of with hope with my mom, it was just like in this big box, right? I had this grandiose, like it was on a great scale, this hope, and it was really about how my mom, what her capabilities were physically, mentally, everything. So we looked at that together and we started looking at her bucket list of things that we wanted to do together, that we could do together. So, my mom loved to go shopping and she loved going out to restaurants, and she had a bunch of places that she wanted to go visit and see, like landmarks here on the East Coast. And so we were able to put together those lists, but with the hope that we are going to travel together in order to share you know, this experience. And we did, for the most part, we did, and it was fun. But as the memory loss progressed and our hope, my hope, and together, it had to shift. It had to step down into like the smaller box. Doesn't mean that it's less meaningful. On the contrary, it is, you just have to redefine it so then you can be more realistic. And so instead of going to malls and shopping outside because mom could no longer physically keep up or was too stimulating for her, then we ended up going and having lunch at smaller restaurants, or instead of 7 o'clock dinner reservations when it was really loud and busy, a lot of music playing, we went for early bird dinner. We still got to enjoy each other, and we had the hope of having dinner together, but it looked a little different, right? It was experienced in a different way. And then as it progressed even more, change had to happen. And so my hope became more realistic with her changes. And we hoped that, mom didn't fall. Mom, could walk down the stairs so then she can enjoy sitting outside with me and seeing her grandchildren, play. Um, and then certainly towards the end of life, both of us, and then this box got smaller. But again, doesn't mean that it was any less meaningful. It was so meaningful, so purposeful, filled with love, that I hope that mom isn't in any pain. And my mom hoped that she wasn't alone. And my hope was I was holding my mom's hand when she took her last breath. Those hopes, it came true, but they were realistic. And we had the hope together. So as I'm talking about this, hope is really a powerful, beautiful energy that takes you through that journey that is filled with confusion, unknowns. It's filled with ambiguity. It's, you don't know what's around the corner, but it's a way of unlocking those fears and the uncertainties. And it gives you strength to say, I can do this, that I can be with my loved one. And it also strengthens your spirituality, because as I had said previously, this journey that you decide to take with your loved one is spiritually rewarding. It truly is, if you allow it to. And it could fill your life with peace and harmony. So don't ever give up on hope. You'll never know what your hope could be a source of strength for someone else. It could be a source of strength on a much greater scale, like in a community, or, giving back to a great cause. But hope really allows you to join your loved one with an open mind and an open heart. So please continue with your hope and don't give up.
When we talk about hope with dementia, even a decade ago, dementia and Alzheimer's, the research was going on, but it really wasn't, we weren't finding these wonderful things that are happening now, where they say that like there's a cure, the person is walking this earth right now where that will get the cure. But the biggest thing is people are knowing about dementia. People are understanding about dementia. They're understanding that it's not only memory loss, it's a comprehension thing. So if somebody's in the grocery store and they just can't, I mean, you can have somebody that has a PhD and they're in the grocery store and they cannot figure out their change for the life of them. And you might look at them as the cashier and just be like, oh my gosh, but now people are getting it. And people are being educated. One of the things that's wonderful, and I am one of the people who started it in our city, but that's going up in all cities, is called Dementia Friendly Town. It's from Dementia Friendly America. And people are going out, people like myself and people like Kristen, other people, we're going out and we're teaching in the schools, in the churches, in the businesses. I went to my local grocery store, I went to the police and fire station, and we're talking to them about dementia and about the different things that it affects. And it isn't just, their memory. It is like if you come across somebody and they're at this heightened state, maybe there's something else going on there. So it's helping for people who come across you, and it's helping to erase the stigma. Dementia is one of the very few diseases that it seems okay to have a stigma with. Like it shouldn't be that you have to worry about the stigma of dementia. If you want to go out with your loved one to, like Chrissy said, you want to bring mom to a restaurant because she loves to eat out. There are restaurants now that have a table set aside for somebody who has dementia, so that you can, not all of them, but it's growing, that you could call and say, we're coming in, we have, somebody with us who has dementia, can we go to that table? It's going to be their quietest table in the corner. It's going to have a different menu with pictures. I mean, this is happening. And that is such a big hope that more of this is going to happen, and quite quickly. The memory cafes, those are newer. Those are fantastic support for you, not only with the support groups, which have been around more often, but like we talked about, sometimes the fit, you can't find the right fit. Memory cafes are the same thing, but it's people who are going through the same thing as you. And so you have hope that you can develop a brand new friendship, a friendship with someone who has the same types of struggles that you have. And not only for you, but for your loved one who has dementia, who might be feeling very isolated, because of course, when things happen with disease, and not only this one, people get nervous about, and they back off, right? Your good friends are not there as much. The best ones stay, but the other ones, and it's not mostly because they are afraid or anything, they just don't know what to do. So here you go, where there are people who you can have new great friends. There is a hope of relationships that will grow. And, there's just so much that is happening in the world of dementia and in the world of research and hope for people. So please do hold on to that, research it, look out there, find your local things. And if you don't live in a dementia friendly town, maybe you can ask about that. You can call your town clerk and ask them, are there any plans for that? Because maybe you'd even like to be a part of it.
Very much so. It's like the ripple effect. You have your pebble of hope and you drop it, and the positive ripple flows out, right, and affects people at a larger scale. And you may not even realize how large it is, but it does. You could offer a prayer to a family member. Prayers, I say this too, it's power, right? There's power in prayer. So just offering prayer to families who are living similar journeys, or providing food, doing Meals on Wheels, or, hope is really, it's an energy, a positive energy source. And to tap into that, we could really make some profound changes, positive changes. And it's just wonderful. It's almost, it's the world is your oyster. It's like how people can really make a difference. And so yes,
the hope does give you energy. It really does.
Mm-hmm. It really does.
As we go along, things seem to get condensed, and as they get condensed because of maybe limitations that our loved ones may be having, they become more pertinent. It becomes more condensed. And I was just going to bring up that, in the Bible, it talks about hope.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, it's mistranslated in a way, because when it talks about end of life and eternal life, it talks about the hope of eternal life that we have through Jesus Christ. And it talks about being born again. And when you're in that position, your loved one has not just hope, but a guarantee that they're going to be in a better place. It's not something they're going to guess, but they have God's guarantee that because of what Christ did for them, and they've accepted it, that they will be in heaven with Christ in a short time. And it gives them the happiness of knowing that they don't have to fear the end. And I find that that's a wonderful, wonderful thing to know, that a loved one is going to be with the Lord. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
No, I think it's important. It's that sense of peace.
Yeah.
It does provide that peace. And, many times when I'm working with families towards that end of life, their loved one wants them to know that I'm going to see you again. And that in itself, like, that when you see your loved one on the other side, they're not going to be in pain, that they're going to be this beautiful spirit and be welcoming, and that they're not far. It's really nice to have that to hold on to, and it does provide some peace in your heart. Yeah, thank you for that, Peter. Yeah. So to go hand in hand, really, with what we've all been talking about, is when we keep hope alive in us, what we're really asking for, in my opinion, is to bring love to the forefront of our mind and our heart. So we don't have that resistance, maybe what you were talking about, Peter, resisting, that we are open and we don't have that fear. And when we don't have that, and we allow that love in, then we can bring that peace to ourselves, and it's felt by everyone. So with that, I just want, again, I know Laura and I say this at the very end, but we do have some wonderful resources for you at the end of the show that will be up for caregivers who are, needing hope or defining their hope or kind of repackaging their hope. So if you can please take a look at that, and hopefully those will be of service to you. But we truly believe in being mindful while you're on this journey.
Yeah. And take deep breaths.
Mhm.
Always take deep breaths.
Yep, stay grounded, and to embrace this journey with complete gratitude, full of love.
Yeah. And you can do it. You can do it. And remember that it's your journey. It will look like what it's intended to look like for you.
Mm-hmm. And everything's possible. You can do it. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And next week, we're going to be talking about a little bit of a shift, but we're going to be talking about something really important too. And that is some communication techniques on how to help you better connect with your loved one. The connection being more understanding and full of compassion. So your relationship changes for the better.
And practical tips for you too. So that might be in your care. Like, how can you communicate better to have a better outcome and successful outcome when you need to do something that is part of the care for the person, physical care or mental care, whatever it might be.
Yeah. So we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.
And ladies, tell us your email address for people out there that have questions.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yes.
is KL
feedback@outlook.com.
Yep.
And they can send you an email and ask you any questions they may have.
Yes,
Yep.
please do. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll get back to them, and maybe we'll even discuss some of them on the show at a future date.
Right. That would be more like what we would do. We would get the emails, and then Christy and I would talk about it, and we would incorporate the answers in a show. Yeah, in one of the segments.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm sure that's something all of us need is hope, especially it's a new road, and it'll be an interesting journey for each individual. Will be different, but with hope, it can make it more enjoyable. I thank you for that, and I look forward to next week's show on communication with your loved one, to make a better communication between the caregiver and the one suffering from memory loss.
Can I just a little thing? Can I tell you that they're living a good life instead of suffering? We like to not have people suffer through it. They're going to live well through it. It's just a little thing.
No, thank you for that
But
correction. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah. So thank you for watching, and we hope that you'll tune in next week. And if you missed the show, you can go to HudsonCommunityTV.com and you can bring up the shows on the web, and you can catch up on the shows you might have missed. But if you have channel 20 in Hudson Comcast, we try to get the show on every Thursday at 7 p.m. So thank you for watching Peter's Corner.
Thank you.